Hello everyone, thanks for joining me in this video. Today, being 27th of October, Nnamdi Kanu makes court appearance again to continue his defense. As you can see on the screen, it is quite an interesting development. Today, Nnamdi Kanu will put up defense as he has informed the court that he will be defending his case, having relieved the legal counsel for a while so that he can step in the dock and defend his innocency. And one of the important things we must consider, does Justice James Omotosho have the jurisdictional competence to hear or continue the trial of Nnamdi Kanu? Does the Nigerian court has the jurisdictional competence or legal right to subject Nnamdi Kanu to continuous trial? Prior to this time, after the prosecuting counsel closed their defense, and the defending counsel to Nnamdi Kanu filed a no-case submission, which eventually was turned down by Justice James Omotosho for whatever reasons best known to him, because I strongly believe that the case of Nnamdi Kanu or the alleged count charges lack the substance of justice. The basis, the reason why an appellate court of law higher than the high court, the appeal court, which is the highest court in the land, in the Federal Republic of Nigeria, gave an overwhelming verdict that Nnamdi Kanu has no case to answer. The 15 count charges that were reviewed more than 8 times was quashed, and he was declared innocent, discharged and acquitted. Suddenly, we saw unusual happening in the legal system process where an accused, discharged and acquitted, still being arraigned, detained, while the court verdict is to release him, let him go, and compensate him for the multiple violations of his fundamental rights. But rather than complying to the verdict and the ruling of the court, the government, the federal government of Nigeria, decided to flout the court proceedings, which could be considered as a content of the court. The content of the court, not adhering to the order given by the court, even before filing the stay of execution, which has no judicial precedence. It does not exist in the first instance. Now, the question we must ask as Nnamdi Kanu put up his defense today, does the Nigerian government, the legal system, has the jurisdictional competence to try Nnamdi Kanu? After the no-case submission was turned down by Justice James Omotosho, the presiding judge, and was asked to put up his defense. Justice James Omotosho asked Nnamdi Kanu, "Do you have a case to answer? Put up your defense." Begin to answer. Begin to imagine what kind of question is that? What does Nnamdi Kanu have to defend? His innocence that already have been affirmed, upheld, and certified by 6-judge panel that will review the case and give their overwhelming verdict, substantive verdict, and make a very substantive position that no court within the Nigerian legal system has the jurisdictional competence to continue the trial of Nnamdi Kanu on the basis of his extraordinary rendition. This, of course, informed the legal counsel to Nnamdi Kanu to immediately file a preliminary objection against the continued trial of Nnamdi Kanu. Hopefully, that will be the basis of the defense of Nnamdi Kanu. As he said, "I am going to call names and witnesses, vital and compellable witnesses, which eventually must be served a subpoena to appear before the court to attest whatever, of course, they know about this under the edition of Nnamdi Kanu and his subsequent trial, illegal trial as the case is. Illegal in the sense that this was adopted extraordinary rendition, which the court of Kenya has also affirmed that indicting Nigeria for violating the right of Nnamdi Kanu and privileges. So the evidence are well overwhelming. One of those that we have mentioned, Wike, of course, have reacted that he is not afraid, provided he's been served the subpoena by the court, to appear. That he will definitely do that, but not being said on the pages of newspaper, which I strongly believe that Justice Jason may have done the needful once Nnamdi Kanu presented his witnesses. One, the first category he considers as material witnesses, and the second category as vital and compellable witnesses, comprising both foreigners and Nigerian ex and current serving politicians, ex-service chiefs, AGF, Attorney General of the Federations, and the rest of them will be made to appear before the court of law to answer for themselves whatever they know about the Nnamdi Kanu's ordeal and possibly the role they have played at certain levels or degrees regarding his extraordinary rendition, torture, and possible continued incarceration. Let's listen to Wike, what he's saying at the early stage. Well, of course, in the course of time, things might possibly change. This average politician, you may not trust them for their words, but then let's listen to what he has to say.
If I'm subpoenaed to come and give witness or to give evidence, I must obey the court. I must appear. But not on pages of newspaper. Nobody does that.
Excellency,
and so as to why I should be listed,
because of the Kanu,
he who chooses me there, he should ask him the question. But if I am invited, if I'm subpoenaed to come, go home and sleep. I will be there.
The atmosphere surrounding the Abuja High Court is heated up with the wave of uncertainty engulfing the entire sphere as people are apprehensive. You can see that heavy security that surrounded the entire premises as Nnamdi Kanu arrives the court premises, and the rest of them, the litigation or process or the court proceedings will definitely commence any moment from now. Now, there are more important things to watch, because even the judge could not preempt the outcome of this court proceedings, because they don't know the angle where Nnamdi Kanu is coming from. They're afraid and scared of possibly Nnamdi Kanu might be hitting certain personalities hard, exposing the most covert secrets and conspiracy surrounding his extraordinary rendition, and possibly opening up the can of worm which some personalities might not want that to happen. The court, within the week, Nnamdi Kanu, through his legal counsel, Barrister Maxwell Opara, revealed that one of the DSS agents tortured him physically. Yes, the video is before the public domain. That Nnamdi Kanu was not happy that there was an attempt to his life, as IPOB, the Indigenous People of Biafra group, raised alarm or concern over the assault on the personality and the life of Nnamdi Kanu, which they allege assassination threats. When Master Nnamdi Kanu has maintained, it doesn't matter, he's already dead, only to be resurrected at the rebirth of Biafra. And there is nothing anyone can do to stop that. He insists, according to the provision of the law, that it is my right. That if you prove otherwise, that is not his right, that the right to self-determination, to political association, and preservation of your cultural existence and heritage is only meant for selected few. Just as the Vice President Shetima went to the United Nations General Assembly affirming his support for the Palestinian people, asserting that the Palestinian has the inalienable right given by God to them, of course, to have their liberty, their sense of freedom, which is not different from what position Mazen Nnamdi Kanu has expressed. But here we have the same vice president sitting under the same double compromise or double standard, persecuting a man who also expressed the same inalienable right as defended or asserted by the vice president for the Palestinian people. The Biafrans say, we also have the equal right. It is not a crime. It is our right, just as is the right of the Palestinian people. Having fought the most deadliest civil war in the history of Africa, 50 years down the line, 5 decades down the line, the same issue that led to insecurity, injustice, unfair and unequitable distribution of a common wealth is still ringing bell, taking unusual dimension that prompted Mazen Nnamdi Kanu to raise concern. What are his major concerns? Let there be inclusiveness and sincerity on the part of the ruling class or the executive to integrate and promote growth and development to all regions of the country. Certain regions like the eastern region, the Igbo people should not be sidelined because you have seen it overwhelmingly, undeniable proofs that Igbo people are being orchestrated, sidelined, intentionally, systematically, politically, economic-wise, to keep them relegated. Against this background, Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said, no, we must strike a balance and people should be given the right to grow and develop at their own pace. Not using government policies and other strategies to clamp down on them and possibly frustrate them to the point of submission. As Philip F. Young illustrated, that these people, if you fail to treat them well, of course, their children will rise to demand for justice. And here we are today in the court of law, in Nigerian court. Mazen Nnamdi Kanu said, I will defend my rights and dignity as a person. My identity cannot be lost or threatened within the configuration known as Nigeria. I must defend my identity, just as the late Awolowo said, that Nigeria is a mere geographical expression. And Tafawa Balewa and other northern leaders or the founding fathers said that the greatest mistake done in the history of humanity is the amalgamation of Nigeria. The Nigerian ethnic nationalities are best established, fulfilled, living differently, protecting and prioritizing their cultural heritage and values, rather than being stuck in one deceptive, disillusional configuration known as Nigeria. These are evidence, and with the current happenings and realities today, see how the North is being ravaged. In fact, the northern Nigeria is already gone. The northern Nigeria has fallen in the hands, have collapsed almost in the hands of the Islamic jihadists. It's been certified, recorded, that over 22 Islamic groups, sects, terror cells have established their base in Nigeria. Look at what is happening. Military base camps are being overrun. The indigenous communities and villages are being overrun and occupied. Those who survive the swords might go down by the bullets, and the rest of them. Nigerians now living in internally displaced camps in their supposed country, and you say there is no war. But the number of displaced persons ever growing, ever increasing, a population of internally displaced persons presupposes that is an undisclosed war that is going on. These are reasons why Nnamdi Kanu raised any alarm, intimating and informing the political class and the ruling class to take proactive actions. But rather than listening to him and reviewing, of course, their strategies and their fight against insurgency, they decided to clamp down on him, to seek way to spend the resources of the country just to extraordinarily rendition him and keep him perpetually in under DSS dungeon. Thinking they could trample upon the truth, they could do whatever and nobody can question them, they are not answerable to anyone. They can trample on people's fundamental rights. International communities, the working group of the United Nations in charge of arbitrary abuse of fundamental human rights have written to the Nigerian government informing them that they should release Nnamdi unconditionally on the basis of his extraordinary rendition that Nnamdi Kanu should not be subjected to endless detention and trial, which was flouted. They never obeyed. Even the World Tribunal and other, of course, verdicts, courts, competent court of law have ruled in this case, and yet the federal government decides to turn their way, of course, away from the clarion call for justice, aggravating the situation, worsening, of course, the reputation of Nigeria in compliance to the rule of law and defense of the fundamental human rights in the Committee of Nations. Of course, Kenya is still battling with the mess, being accused of this conspiracy of extraordinary addictions that no foreigner could be safe in Kenya. That is not the case. It's very unfortunate, honestly. And the United Nations, the US is aware with the ever-growing call for Tinubu administration to be questioned, the administration of Nigerian government or executive should be questioned. Not just Tinubu, there have been records, well-established, affirmed evidence that Christian genocide is a reality in Nigeria. And eventually the publication is out there, and eventually, according to Mike Arnold, he alleged that the Sultan of Sokoto must have certain questions to answer over his involvement or conspiracy of silence over the continued killings of Christians, because he denied publicly there was no such, that the claim that Christians have been targeted in Nigeria is false. While there are overwhelming evidence of thousands of churches, tens of thousands of churches that were burnt, killings, religious motivated killings in the north, leaving tens of thousands of Christians displaced, killed within the last 15 years or thereabouts. And you're living in denial with all these things. The Islamic clerics celebrate, and the conspiracy of silence suggests they're happy when Christians have been targeted or the supposed fidels and killed. You've not seen this proactiveness and decisiveness on their part to come out to condemn. We are not part of this. And nobody should identify us with these barbaric killings and the rest of them. We are not part. They see them keeping quiet, but if the otherwise happens, you see them, of course, raising concerns and threats, demanding that the perpetrators of this heinous crime should be brought to justice. While reverse under their watch, within their own region, people are being killed in their hundreds and thousands. Yet, no reaction. Well, only time will reveal Mazen Nnamdi Kanu have been vindicated with the current state of insecurity now rocking the entire regions of this country. No region could be safe or could be considered safer with the current realities. People have been adopted, accosted. See what happened of recent that travelers were accosted, including clergymen. The Christian clerics were abducted by these terror cells. You know what might be the end of that? If they collect ransom and eventually leave them fine, they might even collect ransom and also kill them because they consider them as the main target. Even in Lagos Ibadan Expressway, it is quite unfortunate. This is happening. These are daily experiences of Nigerians that may not be captured by the public, by the media, by the mainstream media, but the realities are overwhelming. It's everywhere. And the reason why they should have appreciated Mazen Nnamdi Kanu for raising concerns. You know, at a point he was asked, how do you know that Benin will be attacked? Decades before that continued to happen. But today, these are realities. Plateaus over several communities has been overrun, displaced, which even the city governor came crying that this is a pure ethnic cleansing, sponsored genocide against his people. The Plateau government said it, and it could not be denied. Benin government also have revealed there are certain people, personality within the corridor of power sponsoring this terror against the population of the Benin people that are 98% Christians, as revealed by one of the Catholic revered Reverend Father, who was invited, of course, in the U.S. congressional hearing over Christian killings and genocides being sponsored. So you can't deny the realities except you are not being, of course, economical with, you are just being economical with the truth and having certain vested interests to defend.